Shabbat Shalom.
The miracle worker. The Parashah this week is about leprosy, and as we see in the scriptures, leprosy can be healed. And leprosy can also be spiritual leprosy. You can have spiritual challenges and diseases. I was in Israel a number of years ago, and one of the stops for the tourists is to go to the Dead Sea. And so I went to the Dead Sea, and I had psoriasis. So I'm at the Dead Sea, and I say, wow, why don't I take some of the mud from the Dead Sea and put it on my psoriasis? And my psoriasis went away. Wow. Not 100%, but significantly. God can heal us, as we're going to say today. There's a scripture. Great is Adonai, and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is infinite. I've never read a translation that his greatness is infinite. There's different terms like unfathomable or unsearchable. But I like infinite also, because infinite talks about God's power. It's infinite. So that's one of my favorite translations. Now, you may remember when Miriam, the sister of Moses, and Aaron, Miriam and Aaron spoke badly about Moses. And God struck Miriam with leprosy. You don't want to mess with my servant, right? But in any case, God struck her with leprosy. But Aaron said, "Oh God, we're sorry. We shouldn't have done this." And so God heals her of her leprosy. And God can turn curses into blessings. And throughout history, God has turned curses into blessings. Now, Joseph, the story of Joseph is he's put in jail, and he has the dreams, and Pharaoh has dreams, and Joseph interprets the dreams and says there are going to be 7 years of famine, and 7 years of abundance, and 7 years of famine. So the Pharaoh says to Joseph, when he sees that the dreams were happening, he said, "There's no one like Joseph." And so he appoints Joseph to store up the grain because of the coming famine. And it says that the abundance of the grain was so great, it was beyond measure. They stopped measuring the grain that was stored up. And another thing, another story, I was in the West Coast way back, many years ago. And I was on like a bus, it probably was a tour bus, up the coast in California. And so the tour guide, they were talking with the tour guide. So the Hearst Castle has one of the greatest art collections in the world, if not the greatest. So someone in the bus said to the tour guide, "So how much is it worth? How much is this art collection worth?" And the tour guide said, "It's a very good question. It is, you cannot calculate the wealth of this art this art gallery. So again, we see this points to God's infinity. This point, he is beyond abundance. He is beyond calculation. But we can also, today, you can also be an agent. You can have miracles happen to you, but you also can be an agent of miracles yourself. As it says, this is not in the Bible, but I believe it's a true proverb. We are all students and we are all teachers. With children, we are teachers with children. And we also can learn from children. We're students. We're all followers and we're all leaders. You may have been on a job and you had to follow the employer. Maybe you had something, maybe you were in a job and you had to lead people. And the last one is we are all hurting and we're all healers. Just as Yeshua was the great miracle worker, he also was hurting. By his stripes, we are healed. Now, there's a rabbi and a priest on a jet plane. And they're on the jet plane and they're talking, the priest and the rabbi. And the plane is in trouble. And the pilot announces to the passengers, listen, we got some real problems here. You're going to have to hold on. It's getting very bumpy here. Something bad could happen. And so they crash. And the priest and the rabbi said, oh my God, this is a miracle. And the rabbi was touching his body, and the priest said to the rabbi, this was a miracle, but I didn't know that you converted, because he had touched his body in these places. And he said, no, not at all. He said, I was checking for my watch, my glasses, and my wallet. Now, on a serious note, Helen Keller, the one who she was blind and she couldn't hear, she was deaf. And there was a woman who was appointed to help Helen Keller. And so her name was Anne Sullivan. And God was able to use her Anne Sullivan to help Helen Keller to speak and to hear. So here, it wasn't only the miracle of Helen Keller, but the miracle of the woman who got to use to heal Helen Keller. In Titus 3:5, it says, he saved us through the washing of rebirth and the renewal of the Holy Spirit. Just as God can wash us of leprosy, he can wash us of spiritual leprosy, help us to be born again. And I believe that is a miracle. Now, I would like to talk about, there was a book that came out many years ago, and it was called The Power of Positive Thinking. I didn't like that book that much. I only read a little bit of it, but I didn't think that the book was so great. But I think the concept of positive thinking is a great concept. And there's also connected opportunity thinking and possibility thinking. And I believe that when I was a young believer, I thought that everything was black and white. And in other ways, I was very close-minded. I was trying to follow God, but I was a little off in some areas. But there was a preacher back, way back, and he believed in possibility thinking. Possibility thinking, in my opinion, is you can think the possibilities of God. The possibility of God. Being open-minded to God. And I believe you can also have miracle thinking. As it says in Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any virtue, and if there's any worthy of praise, dwell on these things. Who can speak of the mighty deeds of Adonai, or show forth all his praise? Many, O Lord my God, are the wonders you have done, the things you planned for us. No one can recount to you. Were I to speak and tell of them, they would be too many to declare. My brother taught me a beautiful prayer. I've never seen it in the Bible, but it talks about possibility thinking. Make a way where there is no way. Have you ever been in a situation? This is really, I'm really worried about this. Pray, make a way where there is no way. Because God, as we were saying earlier, God is beyond comprehension. And Fiddler on the Roof, that great musical, in one of the songs in Fiddler on the Roof was called Miracle of Miracles, Wonder of Wonder, Wonder of Wonders, Miracle of Miracles. I was afraid that God would frown. But God did, as long ago in Jericho, God made a wall fall down. Miracle, and it was about a young man and a young woman. Miracles can be miracles of love. John the Immerser, he said, he must increase, I must decrease. Talking about God and the Messiah. He must increase, I must decrease. If we decrease, and if God increases, God has more, can perform more and more miracles. And then I'd like to go to Isaiah chapter 53. Now, most of us believe that Isaiah 53 referred to Messiah, to Yeshua. He was oppressed and he was afflicted. And the rabbis also say that by his sickness, he was righteous. This is a paraphrase. But nowadays, many Jewish people do not believe that Isaiah 53 refers to the Messiah. But if you look in history, the rabbis, in ancient history, many rabbis said that Isaiah 53 was about the Messiah. It is referring to the suffering Messiah. back to Yeshua now. He is called the greatest healer in recorded history. He did nearly 40 miracles, and that's in recorded history. Let's turn now to Luke. John's disciples reported to him about all these things. Calling two of his disciples, John sent them to Adonai, saying, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we look for another?" When they appeared before him, the men said, "John the Immerser sent us to you, saying, 'Are you the one who is to come, or shall we look for another?'" At this very hour, he was healing many of diseases, sicknesses, and evil spirits, and he granted sight to many who were blind. And answering, he said to them, "Go report to John what you saw and heard. The blind see, the lame walk, those with sa'arat, leprosy, are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news proclaimed to them." So remember that there are different levels in Judaism. Judaism teaches that there are 4 or 5 different levels to scriptures. For instance, when when at some point in the wilderness in ancient Israel, there was a pool of water, but it was bitter. And God showed Moses a stick, and he struck the pond with the stick and made it sweet. God can cause bitterness. He turned it from bitterness to sweet. Are you going through bitterness in your life? God can cause it to be sweet. And Yeshua, he calmed the storm. God can calm the storms in your life. So let's keep going back to Yeshua. To the blind, he can open our eyes to see spiritual truth. For the deaf, he can open our ears to hear the Torah. Making the mute to speak, we can speak the word of life. The lame walk, and we can follow God. The crippled arms, we can help us to feel our emotions. Cleanse lepers. Cleanse us from spiritual diseases. Work miracles in Messiah's name. As it says in John 20:31, "These things are written that you may believe that Yeshua is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name." There was a man crippled, and this is after Yeshua ascended into heaven. And the Messianic movement, the early Messianic movement, in Acts 4:16, the man crippled from birth was healed by one of the disciples. And the Jewish leaders said, "It is obvious to everyone living in Jerusalem that a remarkable miracle has happened through them." And in Acts 26:26, when Paul is presenting his defense to King Agrippa, and Paul was talking about the Messianic movement and his conversion to Yeshua. And he said, this was not done in a corner. God's miracles can be done in front of the world. The world is listening. And the size of the universe for us to see God's miracles. Years ago, there were people that built planetariums and telescopes, and that it kept advancing. And then we had a telescope we had called the Hubble telescope. This is in modern history. And then the Webb telescope is the most recent telescope. And then the ISS, the International Space Station, they are up. They're in a space station, and people are living up there right now, astronauts. And the size of the universe is so amazing. And it says in Psalm 33, by the word of the Lord were the heavens made, and by the breath of his mouth all the starry host. By one word, and the whole universe came into being. By one breath, all of the stars come into being. And the power of God, as we've been saying, is incredible. As it says in Romans 11:33, oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments, and how incomprehensible his ways. For who has known the mind of Adonai, or who has been his counselor, or who has first given to him, that it shall be repaid to him? For from him, and through him, and to him are all things. To him be the glory forever. Amen. As it says in John 3:34, it says that God gives the Spirit to the Messiah beyond limit. And in John 21:25, there are also many other things that Yeshua did. If all of them were to be written one by one, I suppose that not even the world itself will have room for the books being written. And finally, now to him who is able to do far beyond all that we ask or imagine, by means of his power that works in us, to him be the glory in the community of believers and in Messiah Yeshua throughout all generations. You can experience God's miracles. God can use you to perform miracles. Are you open-minded to God? Are you practicing? As it is written, nothing will be impossible with God. Open your eyes. Open your ears. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Brian.